in that moment where the George Floyd situation happened, it created an environment for the evils of humanity to show itself. And yes, people were going out there and taking from stores what wasn't theirs, right? But then there were people lighting those stores on fire and leaving people downstairs to just be burned alive. There were people that, like, there was a scene that I rolled up on, and it was a car crash, right? I go to the back seat, and it's a kid that obviously has a gunshot wound. He's still clutching the items he took from the store, right? And then I see there's two cars. I'm like, what's going on with this scene? I don't know what the heck's going on. Why is a kid in the back and he's clutching on stuff he just took? And he has a gunshot wound. He's obviously deceased. Where are his friends? Because I know he didn't drive. He's in the back seat. So at that time when I'm trying to process this scene,
you rolled up on a dead body.
Somebody else comes up to me and is like, hey, there's somebody shot down the street. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with this scene? I rush over there, and we're trying to save this guy. He's bleeding out. He's staring at me. Just help me, basically. Like, help me. Like, I'm losing this battle, and I'm trying to, like, put pressure on his wound. And there's nothing there that can, like, prepare you for that. Like, you have all your trainings and whatnot, but it's too much. It's too fast. And he, died on the scene. Come to find out that there was a group of kids that got in their vehicle, rode up on a store, stole from the store. The store owner shoots one of the kids. The kids panic. They put the kid in the car, and they're rushing wherever they're rushing to. They collide with an Uber driver. The Uber driver gets out of his car. Hey, you just hit my car. The kids shoot the Uber driver.
'Cause you're all that I crave, so I wonder, where are you? Don't hide away from me when I need you most. We got love guaranteed, and
Hello. Welcome to Therapy Rebranded, where we're consistently inconsistent. I'm by myself, so ding ding. If you came here just for Rachel, log off. The bad bitch is busy. She's in Italy. So I have my friend here, Joe. We've been friends for over 10 years at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're family.
Absolutely.
We're family.
Yeah.
He's a police officer. He's a small business owner. We met working in hospital work. So you've been in the trenches forever in terms of working.
Don't hating on me on this police officer thing now.
We'll get into it.
Don't you hating on me now.
I had to hate on it myself for a bit. So he, because of his wonderful skills, he now opened a security business. Tell him about it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I run a security company. We boast, training everybody up on, just different specialties. We have level 1 training, level 2, level 3. And just to elaborate on one of those things are, level 1 is more of your concierge position. Level 2 is more of your patrol division. And level 3 is more of your, firearms. You have bodyguards in that level. And we're certified through the BCA. So we're operating in different situations like mosques, churches. We do events. So, yeah, plug there.
So people can hire you, and if they're looking for a job, they can come find you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you do something else, which is?
Yeah, conceal and carry. If you need to brush up on your firearms training skills, I'm a certified instructor, and I help you get your CCW, which is your, permit to carry and your permit to purchase, stuff like that. So if you guys, are serious about protecting yourself, that's what I focus on. It's a last resort type of situation, but I will teach you all that, and we will go over it in the course. And yeah.
All right, let's get into this Reddit. I'm glad I have a married person here to help me with this one.
Oh, man. It's a married one. Okay. This is going to be fun.
Okay. I'll just read it here. Am I the asshole for being very upset that my wife is helping her friend cheat on her husband?
Yes.
You are the asshole?
Yes.
Okay. A while ago, my wife and her friend went on a weekend trip, which seemed fine. Turns out the friend didn't really want to go on the trip. She was meeting a guy, her best friend, her soulmate. Apparently, these two have been messaging each other for years. My wife didn't know this, but obviously found out about it and told me, but she just ignored it because it wasn't our business. We didn't tell the husband. It was a weird what the fuck kind of thing. I don't know the husband at all. I barely know this friend. I was thinking, not my circus, not my monkeys. Cracking up, she knew about this from day one, and your wife lied to you because she knew you couldn't handle it. She knew her friend was cheating. Fuck out of here. So here's the thing. The friend asked my wife to go on another trip and that will pay probably about $3,000 for the sole purpose of cheating on her husband again. My wife was gleefully ecstatic about going on a free trip. She will be the alibi for her friend cheating. Am I the asshole for being outraged, feeling betrayed?
No, you're not. I misspoke. You're not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
You're not the asshole. That is insane.
Wait, let me finish it. Am I the asshole for being outraged, feeling betrayed, feeling that our marriage is a fucking joke, and frankly wanting to end it? If her and the girls make such a farce of marriage and help each other out and cover for each other's cheating, what the fuck is our marriage? I'm seriously considered telling my wife that she can make her own decisions, but they have consequences, and when she returns for the fuck fest cheating weekend, the locks will be changed and the divorce papers will be pinned to the front door. Okay, that took a left.
Yeah.
All right, so she's the asshole. Why? First of all, if your wife came up to you and told you this, what you doing?
So she told me that she was covering for a friend?
Yeah. First trip she didn't know, but now she's going to go back again and do it because she's going to pay for her to go on a trip for free.
That's gonna raise a lot of questions about what she's doing.
On the trip?
About what my wife's doing. Like,
oh, I'm not doing anything.
100%.
We have our own. I have my own room. She has her own room so that they can stay together.
yeah, that takes, like, I mean, the trust would go so downhill, and I will feel so ashamed.
Really?
Yeah, like,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, you're.
You don't have friends who cheat?
Yes.
We all have friends who cheat.
Yes.
We all do. That's not like a specific
yeah, but
thing.
like covering for them is such a different level, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's so, like, now you're invested.
But what if she's not invested? It's just about the free trip.
I don't think that's what that is right there.
What do you think that is?
I think that's
that he brought a friend.
Yeah.
That they're going on another couple's vacation.
I think there's more to the story. I think that she's, living a happy. She's having her cake and eating it too. Like,
yeah.
I feel like that's what that is right there.
Where's the line as far as, like, okay, what if they're divorcing? What if the guy's abusive? You know what I mean? Like, that's the trouble with reality, is that there's usually these contingencies that make you go like, yeah, whatever, he's a piece of shit. Like, I'm not saying I like this. I'm just saying, like, what? I don't know. Okay, let me back up. I know for a fact that there are plenty of men who go on weekends and there are friends there cheating. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
True.
And that the boys' weekend is the cover for it. So I feel like the issue from the husband's heart is that it's the sole purpose of the trip and the entire plan.
It's
a little bit different than, like, oh, when we went out to the booth, she went home with someone scandalous. That's a little bit different,
yes.
I think.
Yeah.
It's like the level and the intent, but I also think to not tell your wife ahead of time this is a deal breaker in the marriage and to just let her leave and then have her come back and divorce her is stupid. I think you should give your wife the heads up how fucking serious this is to you so she can make a choice. But because she might be thinking, like, oh, he'll get over it. He trusts me.
Yeah.
Right, which is like, what guy would trust that shit, man?
Yeah.
But men do this. This is the part that's throwing me.
I don't think we go as
duets, but you would lie and say that your friend was on the trip and they weren't.
No, you know what I think most guys do? You distance yourself.
Yeah.
You just fucking take distance if you don't want to, like, snitch it out. You just go like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Like,
and then you just kind of like walk, like, it's not like we like it necessarily. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, fuck. Like, you're kind of bummed out as well. And I've been on both sides of this,
Oh, me too.
Yeah, so.
There's been plenty of, I can think of one friend specifically that I'm not friends with anymore. And he wasn't in this friend group. He was in the group from college people.
Oh, okay.
The light-skinned one.
Oh, yeah.
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 And it used to piss me off to infinity when he would just bring a random girl and be like, we all had to pretend like we weren't hanging out with his girlfriend
Oh, my
2
goodness.
days ago. Because it's also like, I want to hang out with my friends. I don't even want to
I
be
don't
with,
know
I don't
this
want to hang
person,
out with
yeah.
this fake version
Yeah.
of you. This is fake.
Yeah.
This is all
Yes.
fake. You could have did this by yourself.
Exactly.
You didn't need to
Why are
come
you
do
bringing-
foreplay with
why
her
are
and
you
your
bringing
friends to
around?
make her feel special.
Yeah.
I hate when they use us like that.
Yeah.
But
That's what I'd say it is. It's mostly like that. It's like this kind of biting your lip, like just kind of, oh, fuck. You know, like, have I covered? Yes, I have in that way. Mm-hmm. Never gone along on a fucking trip as the camouflage.
Yeah.
That would feel shitty to me.
yeah. Does it change that they don't know her husband?
Unfortunately, yes, but it shouldn't.
You know what's funny though is like if you guys are close enough friends to be going on trips like that and you're both married, why aren't you like,
Why
hanging out as couples? That's kind of weird, right?
Yes.
That's the part that blows me.
Like, you guys should be going on a couples trip.
Exactly. Why are you not coming on the trip, husband? Why are you not spending that time in the hotel room with the...
That's
your own
actually
lady?
true because if she's going there to cheat and you could be like, well, she's paying for our hotel, I can pay for my own flights, I'll come.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Join the trip. That's your wife.
Yeah.
You know? So...
She's like, I don't want him there. Buzzkill.
Yeah, exactly.
Buzzkill. My husband's a buzzkill.
It just makes, like, for real, it reeks of her cheating, too,
Yeah.
you know?
Ah, fine, you guys win.
I mean, we're just getting to the root of it, right? There's no winners.
You guys are right.
We are.
Yay, yay.
Man.
So I had Joe on here because I want to have like a really honest conversation and open discussion about policing. And if I don't have it with my best friend, I'm going to be really filtered.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to offend people or I don't want people to feel like I'm coming at them. And so I wanted to be able to kind of have this open dialogue because we've had it before.
Oh, man.
Much worse than this.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you guys mind going into that a little bit?
We
like,
will.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we
cool.
will. But I kind of want to start at the beginning. So you are not from the U.S., but you've been here a long time. You called yourself an American, which I was like, eh.
Well, you know, the dual citizenship, it gets in your head sometimes, but, you know, we like to claim America sometimes, we claim Nigeria other times. No, honestly, you know, I was born in Nigeria. I spent about 7 years there.
In a city, in a rural area, where were you?
Well, I spent my times in the village and in the city of Kaduna. That's where a lot of, you know, there's a lot of Muslims there. The tribe that are mostly in Kaduna or the Hausa tribe. So they dominate that area pretty well. So
you were a minority in your area.
yeah, huge minority in the area. You can't even find an Igbo person like exposed in
I didn't know
the
that.
north like that. So yeah, my dad.
So you had to go home to the village to see your people.
Exactly. So, well, my people are everywhere, but
Yeah.
it's just like they're not too much in Kaduna. My dad is like he has an entrepreneurial spirit. So he went over to Kaduna to do architectural work, and he was a very intelligent guy. Like he you know, he learned the language easily, and he spoke it, and he embraced the culture there, and we thrived over there until the riots, obviously. But I mean, that's another story in itself. But yeah, I came to America in 2000. And, you know, got exposed to what America is.
Which is?
Oh, my goodness. A melting pot of BS sometimes.
Did you come straight to Minnesota?
Yeah, I came straight to Minnesota, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, to be precise. Went to Eden Park.
Where all the other West Africans
Exactly,
are.
right. Yeah. Eden Park Apartments, family of 9 living in a 2-bedroom situation. You know, brothers and sisters slept in one room. Girls slept on one bed. Boys slept on one bed. You know, it was a crazy upbringing. But my parents, you know, they kept us together and kept us level-headed, and none of us, like every single person, made it out. So I thank them for that.
Do you guys feel like your parents were able to keep up with all of you and watch all of your all your movements, or was it like siblings were snitching on siblings?
It was you know, it was a different dynamic. So
because you have older sisters that are like parent age to you.
Exactly. So yeah, my oldest sister, Priska, I'll name drop her here. She's gonna be upset, but it's okay. But she was the mother. You know, She covered where my mom couldn't, like where
they were working and they had hella kids.
Exactly. So she was the overseer. She got a job at Old Country Buffet so she can feed all of us. She sacrificed a lot for us. And, she'd always make sure that we were fed. And, I thank her for that. And I always if I can take care of you like you took care of me, I would. Mm-hmm. And that's just, one thing I never, take for granted at all. So...
The older you get, the more like magical that shit is, right? Because you get more perspective of what people were doing. They were going hard.
No, she really, like she could have picked any job. She could have worked at anywhere. She's like, my siblings, they need to eat. So I'm going to get a job at a buffet place and make sure that we can all eat for a discount. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And for a family of 9, that makes a lot of sense. She took that initiative as the oldest kid and she ran with it. And that's just who she is. She just puts everybody else first. And sometimes I wish she wouldn't do that. I wish she would just like kind of think of herself and be a little bit more selfish, but she's just a very selfless person. And, she's one of my role models. I look at her like that,
When you talk about your dad as an entrepreneur, does that mean you guys were like maybe doing better financially or more respected financially in Nigeria than when you came here?
The plan was never America. I tell you that right now. He was doing really, really good. And he was making way more money,
like in proximity to the cost of living there than here.
No, I'm not even like we were more better off.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't even anything. Like, it wasn't even a joke or anything. We were way better off in Nigeria at the time because he was making the connections. He was building his profile and he was well respected by so many different people. He was meeting senators and just like he was in different circles over there, you know, and they loved his handiwork. So his name was getting spread around everywhere. So he was getting a lot more jobs and our family was doing a lot better. And the riots happened, which basically turned everything on its head. You know, and
do you want to tell people what the riots are because they don't know?
So the riots, I mean, you guys could search it up. It was I think 1999 to 2000, 2001, that time period. Basically, it was the people who lived in the area did not want anybody that wasn't of a different they didn't want anybody of a different religion over there.
So if you weren't Hausa and Muslim, they didn't want you there. Okay.
Yeah, and then they used religion to do horrific things. You know, just they did so many things to different people. Like one of them, not to get too graphic here, is that, you know, they'll trap a whole community of people and you know, they'll put them in the center of the compound and they'll pour kerosene on them and they'll have their kids light them on fire. You know, like things like that, you know, and it scarred a lot of people. Due to my dad's connections.
You were able to get out.
We were able to get out. And it's just that was the part that, you know, really opened my eyes, because that morning where everything blew apart, I was still in my school. We all made it home and my dad is like, hey, we have to go. Like, it's going to get worse than what you're hearing right now. We have to go. I have word. And he's trying to tell the neighbors, he's telling everybody has to go. And we left on foot because they had roadblocks everywhere. It took us days.
Because they were trying to catch people?
Exactly. And what they'll ask him, you know.
Wait, hold on, pause. This is just for a little comedic relief. Yeah. So Joe's told me this story before. Yeah. And how old were you? Like 5, 4? I think it was like 5 or 6, yeah. And he was walking. They were like fighting for their lives. And he's over here like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we? Because you're a child.
You think I chew up my kids for that? I can't imagine in that scenario.
Hiding in the bushes. Are we there yet?
Imagine having to deal with 7 children, and you're trying.
Half of them don't know what's going on.
Exactly. Like, well, we kind of realized it a little bit, but it wasn't.
Not the extent. Not to the extent. No, it doesn't hit the same.
It does not hit the same. Like, obviously now as an adult, you can process it a lot more. Like, yo, I dealt with a lot of trauma as a kid, and I've never went to therapy for that. And maybe I should. And it's just a lot of things like that. You know, yeah, like my parents were really the OGs. They, you know, sometimes they have to smack our mouths shut. It had to be like that.
Oh, it did, yeah.
Like, because there's no way.
Scenario, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way, like, you're hiding and you're trying to, basically escape these people that are out to get your whole family. There's no way to shut your kid up, but, like, hey, I have to use that strong arm. And, fortunately for us, we made it out and we were able to go to. We lived in a village for a little while. We went to school in a village. And then my dad played this thing called the visa lottery, and he won 8 visas.
But you needed 9.
We needed 9. And he begged those people. And, and through just sheer perseverance, he got the 9, and he came to America before us. And he worked his tail off to get enough money to buy us that to get us that 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh God, flights too?
The flights, yeah. Imagine, like, paying for flights for 8 other people, and with the bare minimum of help, you're not really, nobody's really looking out for you. And the banks are all saying that your money is gone magically because there's a riot that happened in your area. So back then,
all his money was gone?
They were claiming that the rebels came and took the money. So it wasn't like we could tap into.
Unreal.
It wasn't like we could tap into the money that we had.
What just
already
tapped into my mind is how strong your parents' marriage must have been.
Oh yeah, my dad. I mean,
but really think about it now that you're a married person.
Oh yeah,
we just saved our family. So also as a I'm picturing myself as your mother, eternally grateful that I have a husband who's smart enough to know what the fuck was happening and got our family out. So gratitude forever. But then it's like we got these visas, and now like we're splitting up. Like we just went through the most traumatic thing that ever happened, and my husband has to go to another country.
Yeah.
While I sit in the village with these 8 kids and hope that he gets it together.
Imagine
the trust.
Imagine the trust and the temptation. Because my dad is not an ugly guy. He's a handsome buck.
He is very good looking.
In a completely new environment.
Yeah.
And you don't have like
white women.
I was just gonna say it. I was literally just thinking it. I'm like the white women just throwing themselves.
You're in a new environment, and then you have all these like people looking at you like you're fresh meat. So hey,
and your wife would never know.
Forget about your family in Africa. Just do what you came. Just do what you're here to do with me, and we'll start a new life together. He could have easily done that.
Do men do that?
Oh, absolutely! Like it happens. So it's unfortunate, but it happens more often than none. Yeah. Like there are people that will just keep their family back home and be like, okay, I can give you a few dollars here and there, but I have a new life here. It's messed up, but that's what happens. So I'm just grateful that my dad, he had that bond with my mother, and he had that bond with his kids that. All he cared about was getting us over here because he knew the opportunity, and that's why I work my tail off. Because I'm not letting that guy down. Absolutely, like I'm going to be what I want to be in this life, just so I can take care of that guy that took care of me.
Yeah,
like I it's beyond me how people could like I've never pictured my dad ever living in like a nursing home.
No, it's crazy.
It's never gonna happen.
Wild work.
Yeah, so just
literally the only way I would do it is if like. My mom like had dementia. Yeah. Like didn't know what was going on, and I like physically couldn't keep her safe or something.
Yeah, but I'd have somebody come over to the house. I don't think I can ever.
I think that's cultural too.
I don't think it's cultural. Plus, I don't think I could ever separate myself from the sacrifices that my parents made for me. That's why like I get so sad when I think about my mom passing away. It's like I wish I can show her who I've become. And I wish I can show her like, hey, this is you got a granddaughter now. Look. But
you're religious, so she knows.
Yeah, and
I know you can't share it with her.
Yeah,
but she knows.
Being a human and having like just like human thoughts. It's like I want the physical.
Yeah.
I have dreams where I can I chase my mom and like she fades away when I go to give her a hug. And that sucks for me. And I wake up in a sweat and I'm just like, I was so close this time. Oh. I was so close this time. And it's just, yeah. But anyways.
Imagine working that hard too and passing away so young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
You can see why like the parents would have a strong hand. Like, any immigrant parents, like I went through all of this fucking, we snuck you around rebels are going to kill us. Yeah. And now you're fucking asking me for a Nintendo. Shut the fuck up.
More like we're in this foreign land. where the culture is totally different. It's not just like a culture shock of coming to America. It's also a community culture shock because it's everyone for themselves, which is not like that everywhere else.
And I have diminished standing.
And
too, that I have to eat.
You want to go, in my eyes, put yourself in danger for what?
Exactly.
Like, that's how they see it. Like, for what?
Yeah.
Why would you go do anything even slightly risky?
Yeah.
There's no point.
Like, I can see that guy sells drugs. Why are you hanging out with that guy that sells drugs? You are coming home and you're going to sit your butt at home and you're not going to talk to that guy that sells drugs, or you're going to get, the piss beat out of you. And that's just how it was. And yeah, some certain.
You don't hit your kid though.
No.
I've never seen it.
No. Like, I do different forms of discipline for my daughter. Like,
she does not like timeout. I will say that she.
I do different forms of discipline, and she knows.
She knows
the difference between how I discipline her versus how her mom disciplines her. Then you can tell that obviously me and my wife grew up.
She's white and she grew up in Minnesota.
Way differently, because I can look at my daughter. And she'll snap to it. Like, I've developed that with her.
Oh, you got to shoot her a look.
But my wife looks at her and she kind of just So I'm of the mindset that you don't have to put your hands on a kid, to get them to act right. Like, obviously in certain situations, like if they're trying to take somebody's life or you take their own life.
I mean, if your kid puts their hands on you, you can whip their ass. That you kind of got to. I'm sorry, not like your dog, not like a toddler kicking
not like
and
a
hitting,
baby or nothing. No,
like a 15-year-old pushing his mom down or something. Now you got to get your ass whooped. But like for most things, no.
Like, even with that situation, I'd just have them like, okay, you wanna fight somebody, all right. Put on the gloves. We'll go to a professional setting. We'll actually go to a gym. So, now you have a new gym membership. And if you can whoop me, you get to run the house. That's it. Like, if you can't whoop me, you can never talk to your mom the way that you do, or you can never even look at your mom the way that you do.
Don't say that, because you're about to have a big, strong son. You're about to whoop that ass, and then what? You're going to be 16 running your house.
You got old man strength.
I'm just kidding.
Do you understand the people that
16-year-olds can't even take a punch?
But like, that's the thing. Like, the craziest part about like how I grew up is that I have 3 older brothers, and that helped me in my law enforcement career too. I got my butt whooped a bunch of times with my brothers, which made me, start learning how to fight. And then now that I'm like, I did wrestling, I did all these combative things, and, a little martial arts, jiu-jitsu, like all of those things, like they made me a broader person. So it's like my kid, like if I do have a son, they're going to be in for it, because they're going to see a short, a short guy, like, oh, okay,
but you're not little, you're not skinny, so you look like you could whoop someone's ass. I think you'll be good. I want to know why policing. When did the idea first come in your mind? Like, I want to do policing.
So there used to be a policeman. So back in Nigeria, their policemen aren't quite what you think. They're more of like security in certain areas. They're not like the police here, which they have free reign. The military has a little bit more power than the police, So there was this policeman. He was kind of like the gate man in our compound, and I used to follow him around everywhere. He used to wear a blue uniform. I remember him like it's like yesterday, but blue uniform, had the cap on, had the blue pants, and skinny guy, like in his 70s. I think I even remember his name, but he always stood out to me, and I'm like my mom always used to make fun of me, like, why are you following this guy around? I'm like, I like what he does. He looks like he's doing a very important job, and that's what I would say to her at the time. But that always stuck in my head. But when I got to America, what really stood out to me was how law enforcement treated people. And the incident that really struck to me that made me want to kind of see what the heck is going on in law enforcement is when my older brother got into an incident. And basically what the incident was he was going through a mental episode. And he crashed one of his friend's cars. And the law enforcement that showed up basically told him to, like, get out of the area. They didn't really, like, take care of him or see that he was going through some kind of mental situation. He was walking through the neighborhoods of Blaine, and he saw an open garage, and he saw a fridge in the garage. He went into the garage, took a Coke, and sat in the driveway.
This is when he was having his mental episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sat in the driveway, and, you know, obviously the homeowners called police and said that he burglarized the place. And, you know, he was in jail for a while, you know, and in that...
How did he get out?
They obviously figured out, like,
yeah,
hey,
what was going on.
He's not... this guy, he's not making this up. Like, look at his chart, look at this, look at that. You know, he's been in jail for over 3 months now. Why is he still in jail?
Over 3 months?
I think
he was at their mercy.
I think at that time he was in jail for 3 months.
Wow.
And so anyways, that really sparked me as, like, I think I was 12 or 13 at the time. And I was really pissed off by that. I'm like, why is my oldest brother in jail? Like, what's going on? But I didn't understand, like, the different components of it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be, like, at that time, it was, I'm going to learn as much as I can about the law. Right? And my mom was like, okay, maybe you want to do, maybe you want to go to law school. Because every single Nigerian parent, doctor or lawyer, you cannot escape either one. But, you know, it's just like, I wanted to learn everything I could about the law. And I was seeing how people were treated in my neighborhood as well. You know, people getting targeted, and I'm just like, I want to see what's in that job. Maybe I can make a difference. So I'm like, okay, let me approach it in a certain way. And there was a time that I was obviously, like, you know, lost about it, but I found my way towards law enforcement because of those little things. And, you know, and yeah,
When did you start? What year was it?
This was, I officially got a job in, like, a law enforcement capacity in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. I had applied for several
Yeah, I remember this.
several different agencies. I was overqualified for the position of a community service officer. But they never chose me for, they said that my traffic infractions were too much. And it was like, just the
Like parking tickets?
parking tickets, driving after suspension,
Yeah.
you know, just, it wasn't anything like, oh, he has a domestic or he was, you know, he crashed the vehicle or nothing. It was just, you know, stuff like driving after suspension. Basically, like, hey,
Poor people shit. Like,
Exactly.
hey, I my license is suspended, but I still have to go to work.
And
There's nothing I can do about having to go to work.
The craziest part about that time was they were looking for people that spoke multiple languages, military background, which I had multiple languages, military background. They were looking for people that had done some time in security, which I had. They were looking for minorities at the time, which obviously I am. And every single time I'll make it to the background process and I'll explain everything in my driving history. They wouldn't pick me. It took it's funny. It took Chief Harrington, which is one of the only black chiefs at the time, to give me a chance. And I'm ever grateful. He gave me a chance as a community service officer, and
You just knew how to get in the door, and that was it.
I got in the door, and they've tried.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm still here. I'm still kicking.
Joe's disliked at every job. Just kidding. Me too. We're fucking problems.
Yeah.
We require people to treat us well. God forbid.
No, absolutely. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta-
So I remember us becoming friends, right? So we worked at the hospital.
Yeah.
We were in like the grunt role at transport. We all like bonded. We had our friend group. Everybody was in the transport role for several years. Most of us were in college while we were doing the role, doing other things on top of it. So people started transitioning out of the role. And I remember like whisperings and grumblings of you becoming a police officer. Like I remember you telling me that you were going to do it. And I kind of was just like, yeah, okay. Because it was kind of that time in life, like early 20s, where everybody was like, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the thing. And then you like graduated from the police academy. I went to your graduation.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And I was feeling confused. I felt like, why? Why would you want to be a police officer? And you had shared to me, like, it's one of many big goals. Like, it's not like who I am, basically, in totality.
Yeah.
And I had felt like I kind of, part of me still feels like this, part of me doesn't. I've been knocked the fuck off my high horse, very, very high off, because of social work and how social work causes a lot of systemic issues and is very ingrained negatively in the system in a lot of ways. Like police, we're basically partners. We call you anytime somebody does something wrong and you come.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not above it in the way that I felt like I was before, but I felt like a betrayal. Like, why would a Black person want to be a police officer? Like, police treat us like shit. That's kind of how I was feeling.
Yeah.
What do you think when I say that?
Yeah, no, I peeped all that. Like,
yeah.
And I understood where you were coming from. Like I did. And it was very hard for me to like navigate explaining stuff to you.
But you didn't owe me an explanation, but I felt like you did. I don't know why. I felt betrayed.
And that's the thing. At that time, in like that time frame of our relationship, I really felt like I did too. And I wanted to, cause you know, I did value our friendship, and I'm like, you know, somebody that I care about is not liking my life choices. And I have to explain that to him, and why I'm like, because at the end of the day, you know, I can say, oh, I'm in it to, you know, protect people and do all this stuff. Like, but I feel like I needed to prove it to you as well. Like at that time, that's what sparked that huge argument that we had. And should
we get into that?
Yeah.
So basically we were kind of coasting. There was tension around it, but we were coasting.
Yeah.
And then we live in Minneapolis. George Floyd gets murdered.
Yeah.
And it's also COVID.
Yeah.
So like, people aren't really seeing each other that much.
Yeah.
But I was living in a house at the time, and I invited everybody over to come have a fire in the backyard, including your wife, which is actually, I want to bring up that part too. So everyone's there, including his wife. And Joe, and you can tell me where I'm wrong, because this is just my memory of the time. Joe had been, because of everything that was happening in Minneapolis, the uprising, some people call it riots. To me personally, the language doesn't matter that much. People were fucking shit up because they were angry. And there were people in Minneapolis who were protesting. And then there were also people coming from outside just to loiter, burn, loot. Exactly. And then obviously there were people here taking advantage. But you as a police officer, you got thrown into overtime. You basically got thrown on. They were like, you're working nonstop, basically, is from what I was getting from the group text. Yeah. And you were reaching out for support to our friend group.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were struggling with what they were asking you to do, with what you were seeing, with what was going on. And I was just so angry. It felt like you were on the other side of evil. I swear to God. Yeah. That's how mad I was. Yeah. Because I was so, like, at the time, like, the police are the problem. The police are the ones, you know, like, rubber bullets. I remember, so we're sitting in the backyard, and there was tension because you had been writing the group chat. And everybody else was responding empathetically. And I was saying basically nothing, I think is what happened. Yeah. And then you brought it up at the fire. Yeah. And we got into such a big argument that everybody, including your wife, got up and left. Yeah. And went inside, and we kept arguing. Yeah. And the tension in the argument was about kind of like, how dare you do this to us? Like, how dare you be on the side of the bad guys? Yeah. And not really thinking of like your intent of why you wanted to do it. And so what was it like for you? Like, we'll talk more about our friendship, but just for context, what is it like for you policing during that time? Because I know you were pissed about George Floyd. I know you were heartbroken too. And you had to do your job. So what was that like?
I have receipts of what I sent out to just various people that I probably shouldn't have even sent it out to them, because they have a different frame of mind about, you know, certain law enforcement aspects of things. But as soon as I watched that video, that 9-minute video, I couldn't control my emotions about it, because I saw basically a human being being treated like an animal. And that's how I put it. There's no two ways about it. I don't like how people try to downplay the situation or try to say, okay, he had narcotics in the system. Look at what happened in that situation. You don't treat anybody like that. So when I
seeing a grown man cry out for his mom, that's it. That's for all of us. I'm sorry.
That's tough in itself. But at the end of the day, like, how it sucked too, because then you have to navigate how certain coworkers view the situation. Yeah, and you have to deal with, okay,
what was that like?
Their biases about certain situations. and how they're viewing the public and how.
Do you feel like your coworkers were testing you to see which side you were on?
Yeah, it was huge. There was huge tension in the building. Like hey, you pick a side. Like you're either with us or you're against us. And
you got your best friend like, you already picked a side, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. So like you're getting like at that
both
time,
sides.
At that time I was getting it from both sides, and it sucked because I had to basically hide myself, in my natural working environment. And then when it came to you guys, I'm like, okay, now I can like tell them, hey, this is what's going on. Like it's crazy if these people are doing this, but like I support whatever they're going through. Like they can express themselves, and like that's the message I was trying to deliver to you guys. But it really sucked, and I was very heartbroken about the situation because I couldn't convey the message to you the way that I wanted to. I really wanted to say, hey, I am on your side about this. This is messed up, but I also have a job to maintain order in society. Mm-hmm. Like there has to be a piece of order that we maintain to have this thing called, a social construct or contract. We can't just let everything just like, implode in itself, because we won't have anything anymore. And that's kind of how I wanted to.
I wanted it to implode though.
Exactly.
That's why I didn't hear it, because I wanted it to implode. Like I think at the time I had like a real belief, and I'm still wrestling with all my feelings not about you being a police officer, because now I feel more like it's a part of who you are. You don't owe me an explanation about it, and I love you, and I don't have to approve of every single thing you do. So that's that. But also, and I'm starting to see more about like, I'll go back to that, but. I wanted everything to burn. I wanted it to be chaos. I was so angry and I was so hurt. And I was like, the system is what caused this. Why are you participating in the system? Yeah. Like, it wasn't even like you did it, but it was like, why don't you want it to burn? Like, why do we need law and order?
You told me to quit. You're like, just quit.
Yeah, I think I said, you're shooting rubber bullets at our people.
just quit. And again, it's like, and there's different elements of that George Floyd situation that civilians didn't get.
Yeah, so tell us.
Like, man, this is it's gonna take a turn. But
okay,
in that moment where the George Floyd situation happened, it created an environment for the evils of humanity to show itself. And yes, people were going out there and taking from stores what wasn't theirs, right? Mm-hmm. But then there were people lighting those stores on fire and leaving people downstairs to just be burned alive. There were people that, like, there was a scene that I rolled up on, and it was a car crash, right? Mm-hmm. I go to the back seat, and it's a kid that obviously has a gunshot wound. He's still clutching the items he took from the store, right? And then I see there's two cars. I'm like, what's going on with this scene? I don't know what the heck's going on. Why is a kid in the back and he's clutching on stuff he just took, and he has a gunshot wound? He's obviously deceased. Where are his friends? Because I know he didn't drive. He's in the back seat. So at that time when I'm trying to process this scene,
you roll up on a dead body.
Somebody else comes up to me and is like, hey, there's somebody shot down the street. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with this scene? I rush over there, and we're trying to save this guy. He's bleeding out. He's staring at me. Just help me, basically. Like, help me. Like, I'm losing this battle, and I'm trying to like put pressure on his wound. And there's nothing there that can like prepare you for that. Like, you have all your trainings and whatnot, but it's too much. It's too fast. And he, died on the scene. Come to find out that there was a group of kids that got in their vehicle, rode up on a store, stole from the store. The store owner shoots one of the kids. Mm-hmm. The kids panic. They put the kid in the car, and they're rushing wherever they're rushing to. They collide with an Uber driver. The Uber driver gets out of his car. Hey, you just hit my car. The kids shoot the Uber driver. the Uber driver runs away and collapses. And that's who we were working on. It's like those things were going on in the midst of all the chaos of like, you know, the different fights with law enforcement in the community. And those things like they were influencing, you know, just how I was thinking about everything. I'm like, why are people doing this to each other? You know, what message can I convey to like my friends at the time? I'm like, because I don't even think you knew all this. I'm like,
No, I didn't.
like what message?
But I wouldn't have cared. I was so mad. You were like a signal of like the oppressor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's still, I mean, till this day, people are gonna see that. Mm-hmm. And I can't change that mindset. I can't tell.
I've never thought about how lonely you are though to have like black people judging you and then to have the police community be skeptical of you because of like being black. Like you're isolated.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, I before I got injured, I was.
You got injured this fall? Winter.
Yeah, this winter. I was like the most productive officer. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
No, you were. You told me that.
I was out there. I said all I wanted to do was get guns off the street, and that's what I did. And I structured a way that I found the most guns in the PD single-handedly, and that's what I was doing. And and all of a sudden, I feel like it was the drug dealers that set me up. But they sent that drunk driver over to me to hit me. But
so he got hit by a drunk driver, just so you guys know, this winter. And because of it, he had you already had knee issues, but exacerbated some knee issues. And then he got a concussion. And so the department was like, you're on hold, basically. So kind of back to like those feelings about that, though. Do you even remember like roughly how many days in a row you were working or how often or long you were working during the uprising? Because I remember you guys were like rotating 12 hour shifts on and off, basically.
Yeah, it was, I think it was 2 days on, 1 day off.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 2 days on, 1 day off. Like man, before the George Floyd incident, we had it cake, right? Mm-hmm. Because COVID was going on. Imagine this. We had 5 days on, 10 days off.
Insane.
And that was a great mental health time because you could spend time with family.
Yeah.
Like, again, in COVID, you're not supposed to, but I mean.
Everyone was. Everyone had their bubble that they were in.
Yeah. But then the George Floyd situation happened and 2 days on, 1 day off, like you're not able to even like
in 2 days, like you're basically working 2 days straight.
Yep. 2 days you're working. I think we were up to basically whenever they said that we were get released, that's when we go home. Like we didn't know, like, hey, it wasn't like a set schedule, like, oh, okay, you go to work 8 hours. No.
Were you guys having strategy meetings?
Yeah. We had our general command set up and like where people graduate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like we like everything was going on there, and like we strategized basically how we'd approach certain situations and stuff like that, and then we worked with the National Guard to have different areas set up so we could just contain certain situations. And it was basically maintenance. It wasn't even like, hey, let's go out there and round up as many people as we can.
It looked like it on TV.
Yeah,
like it was like in terms of just like specifically when people were sitting and protesting, like clearing people out of areas.
Yeah. No, I mean, and this is the other side of things, right?
Yeah.
Again, especially the groups that I was in. I can't speak for every group because I've seen horrific things that certain cops did.
Yeah.
In that situation. But I'm talking about the groups that I was in. We're the reaction force. Like we didn't do anything unless like people did something. Like we had people throwing kerosene. We had people throwing like big bricks, like garbage can lids, like you name it. We had people shooting at National Guard personnel that National Guard didn't even do shit to y'all. You know what I mean? Like, but they're
kill your local cop. Everyone.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I literally first of all, I grew up in the neighborhood that George Floyd got murdered in. That's where I grew up.
Damn.
That neighborhood, just to be clear. And on that block in the 90s, a cop got killed in broad daylight. Like that community is like the South Side. I mean, it's hard because the South Side's so whitewashed now, so it's like not the South Side in the same way. Gentrification. Not that the South Side wasn't white. There's definitely white people in South Minneapolis, but it was a different class of white people.
Yeah.
Hated police, and a lot of the police that were around were dirty cops.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was also like lighting a match on a fire that was waiting. Like it like incinerated a feeling that I feel like a lot of people already have about MPD.
Yeah.
And so I think that like informed my own perspective because I grew up in a neighborhood like that, right? And so for me, I just was like, how could you possibly think one person can make a difference? And that was where I came from. Like, I was kind of like, you're not going to go in the system and change the system. The system's going to change you. Now that you're 7 years in, do you feel like your job has changed you?
Yes, absolutely.
But not your values. You still have the same values.
Oh, no, I still have the same values, but I think I'll be lying if I said it didn't change me.
Yeah.
There's certain aspects of my life that I can't think the same anymore. I can't think like I look at one of the parts that stick out to me is that I look at younger girls differently, right? I think of them as
younger,
like,
what? Like,
young, like any young girl age, like from
like 20, early 20s and down, or
whatever.
Yeah.
I see myself as like, because again, I'm biased because I have a daughter, but like they must be protected because I see what happens. You know, there's so many predators out there, like, and it's insane. They're all over the place. And they don't care. And the part that really gets to me is that when I get to talk to those young girls, they're so far gone. There's a stronghold of, addiction that's manipulating them. And then you add the guy, and then you add different loyalties, and then you add, maybe I'm in love with this guy, and like this is the person who takes care of me, and this is a cop, and like he doesn't have my best interest at heart.
So wait, back up.
Yeah,
so I think what we're talking about is like maybe how you felt about like women who are doing like sex work or have shitty boyfriends or in domestic violence, and now is that what you're talking about?
No, I see
like just women in general.
I see it from all walks. Like it's not just the sex workers. Yeah. I don't even consider, like, if you're 11
that's trafficking.
And you're out there,
that's trafficking.
That's not sex work.
No.
That is somebody that's being manipulated and being used and abused. Yeah. And that's what I have seen. And it's just incredible, like, that I can bring that kid back home to their parents,
and they'll run away. And I get them at the hospital. And
it's insane how the reaction I get from the parents is even worse. And I get really upset because I'm like, I would never let my daughter be out there like this. Like if I have to, I'd quit my job and I'll take her away. Like that's how seriously I take. I would take the situation because.
So you're seeing grooming on another level as a police officer,
and I truly believe some of those kids are sent out there to go make money
by their parents.
I think
I believe it. Or they know what's going on. You know what's interesting? So like you saying this, I think what you're speaking to, the larger issue is like you're seeing like, this is kind of a cliche way to say it, but like the underbelly of the world. Like you have you get to see things that other people don't see on a daily basis. And I feel like that in the hospital, but the difference is I'm reading about it, not seeing it. Like I'm talking to somebody after it happened, not in the same way, right? But that's probably shifted how you see everyone. Yeah. Like everything. Every single person has that potential. Like, and it sucks that I have to put it that way. No, it's true though. And people think they're above it, that it couldn't happen to them. Yeah. And it sucks I have to put it that way, but every single person has the potential to either be the manipulator or the manipulated. And it's just, that's kind of how these situations happen. Like you see it from, like, and I'm just talking about a broad scale of things. Like, people who get tricked into, just like different criminal behaviors and, like, again, like, you know how many low, like vulnerable kids that like their IQ isn't low enough for them to be documented as like lower intelligence or like having an intellectual disability, but they're right on the cusp.
Yeah.
And those are the kids who get abused and sex trafficked, and they have drug charges and they don't even do the drugs. Some kid put it in their backpack and they did it to fit in, or they did it because they didn't know the consequences. So that's definitely it. But more what I'm talking to is like, do you still feel like one person can make a difference? Like, do you feel like you're making a difference? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I don't feel like one person can make a difference. It has to be a collective.
I'm shocked to hear you say that.
No, I don't feel like one person can make a difference. It's not. It's
in
so,
the policing.
It's so beyond, and I have to say this, but like with respect, with the stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
Yes, in people's lives, I've influenced a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Yes, I've done a great job. I'm not gonna lie about that. I know I have in the 6+ years I've been, in law enforcement. I've done what I could in certain instances, but it's beyond me. It's so much deeper than that. Like, there's so many things that we need, and there's so many things that we need from like leadership. There's so many things that we need from like the mayors, like everybody that wears different hats to do
systemic change. Like
it cannot just be law enforcement. Like, one person can make a difference. Like, it really does take that village, that community to really impact these kids. And and again, I focus on kids mostly more than society in general.
Why do you think you do that? They're the most hope. I feel like that.
I think on a deeper level, I think it stems from some childhood trauma. Probably. I think it does. And I don't want a kid to basically go through what I went through and stuff like that. So
I feel like you bring kids home, not in real life. You never brings anyone home. Don't worry about it. But in your mind, you think about like the kids whose parents have them out on the corner. Like, you think about those kids. Oh, yeah. You worry about those kids. You drive around and you're trying to see those kids and lay eyes on those kids. Like, I've heard you talk about, like, not like in a negative way, but just kind of in this like real fear and anxiety for those kids as though you knew them.
Man. Yeah, man.
Like, you just, like, you wish you could save them all.
Yeah. Like, it hit home to me. I think that, like, I was thinking about this, right? I was watching this commercial, and this kid, he's describing how he can't do normal things because he has cancer, right? And I think about my job, and I'm just like this kid is like just day-to-day activity. He wants to just live. Yeah. And that if it really feels like this 12, 13, 14-year-old is just out there throwing away his life because he's gotten into the wrong group of people. And that really hit home to me. I'm like, man, this kid is battling something that he can't even control. And then these kids have an opportunity. And I'm right there. I can do whatever I can to help you. I can put you in the right spaces. Even it doesn't matter, like money or whatever. I can help you. But you don't see me because I'm wearing this uniform. You know what I mean? And sometimes I'm like, okay, what if I take off the uniform? What if I show up in my, civilian clothing and I drive through and I'm like, and I pick them up? How long? Like, what? Can I keep doing that? No. Can I? It's just like, what can we do, to like really influence society in the way that we want it? And that's the thing that, like, I feel like that's why
it feels helpless.
Yeah, a lot of cops get like very desensitized to the situation, and they treat people the way that they treat them because like they're so done with people, and like interacting with people really like messes with their mind, and like they're so done. That's why you see certain cops that probably started out good, like they're not the same person anymore, and they're so tired of people that
So as you're dealing with like all the pain that comes from seeing the worst in people and not being able to make real change, I was Googling all these things online, and it was basically saying like, yes, police have worse mental health, but you guys don't get therapy. Why?
It's taboo. It's taboo in law enforcement because we're all type A personality. We're the problem solvers. We don't have problems. that's how it's viewed. And like, even, I mean, take me right now. Like, I got like blown up by that drunk driver. Messed me up. Like, everything's messed up, right?
Yeah. Even the way you think is messed up because of the concussion.
Because of the TBI.
Yeah.
But
TBI,
but people are looking at me like, yo, stop milking this. Come back. We knew what you were doing. Like you were doing really good, and now you want to take a break? They're looking at it like that, and it's like, so a bunch of rumors like go across the PD, and people are like,
that's racial too.
Like, hey, what? Like, come back. What are you doing? Stop milking
lazy,
this.
trying to get out of work. The best police officer we had before January is now trying to get out of work. How? Why? That doesn't match the work ethic you've shown or your personality.
No,
that shit pisses me off.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me that, you know, like, that's kind of how the culture is in law enforcement. Like, you are looked on as, basically, when you put on that badge and you put on that uniform, you are this impenetrable force that stands between law and order, and, you know, and you're that superhero. And like, I feel like every single cop believes that they're Batman, you know, but Batman with Superman tendencies, right? But it's not the truth. Like, we're a lot of cops are very vulnerable individuals. Like, you can take down a cop just by targeting certain things and targeting certain ego.
Oh yeah. Like,
you know, ego mentalities that they have, and you can just deconstruct them, and you will see them like curled up in a corner crying because you knew how to deconstruct them. And
still human at the end of the day.
They're human.
And trying to pretend you're superhuman makes it worse.
Yeah.
I have 2 policing things I wanted to talk about before you go.
Yeah.
So first one is, how do you feel about body cams?
Amazing.
You love them?
I love them. I love everything about body cams. Because one thing, humans behave a certain way when they know that they're being taped.
They do.
So it puts you in that mental space of wanting to do the right things. Right. And then you have officers that don't care and do whatever they do. But like, for most rational people, it puts you in that mental space of wanting to do the right things.
It's like your boss is in the room.
Exactly. So body cams are amazing. Like,
how long do you guys keep the footage for? Do you know?
I think
like for a very long time.
Yeah, it depends on what the footage is, and there's obviously, like, you know, Freedom of Information Act that you can audit certain things, like you can get the video, and so like it depends what that video is of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we keep them for a while, but yeah, it helps law enforcement and it helps the public. Because now the truth is there. Right. Obviously, people interpret certain videos differently, but the truth is always going to be there. Yeah. Yeah. So.
And then my last thing is, I was talking about this off the podcast, and this is more of a discussion than it is like for you to answer, but just finding out today actually that Breonna Taylor's killers are free because the judge said that it was actually her boyfriend's fault for opening fire on the police officers and that they had to return fire as a result. So it was kind of wrong place, wrong time. And we were talking about it off camera. One, like, no matter like who you want to blame for all of this, I think the core blame is the no-knock warrant, in my opinion. But 2, you know, like, as a police officer, there's got to be continuous things. This isn't the same as George Floyd, but it's similar to this thing of putting spotlight on you. Like, what does the Black person think? Mm-hmm. So what do you, first of all, like, what do you think when you hear that they got off? Do you feel like that makes sense? And then 2, you know, like, how do you feel like your colleagues are going to respond to that?
So when I hear that situation, how they're essentially putting the blame on the boyfriend, it triggers me because there's different components of that case that does not make any sense. And even if you look at it just from like a law perspective, right, you have flawed information. You lied on what gave you that no-knock warrant. Mm-hmm. Like, it's built off of lies already. Like, if you look at the case in totality, they already broke the law. So, as a judge, you know the right and wrongs. Why are you basically blanketing this situation and claiming that, if he hadn't have done this? No. They weren't even supposed to be there to begin with. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have had that.
Yeah.
So that first component, I feel like it's wrong. And to be honest, certain people are going to view this as a win.
Yeah.
As like, hey, you know what? They're protecting cops again. And that's the thing that I don't get about, you know, the profession that I chose, right? People have this us versus them mentality that really irks me, because it's everybody against the issues that we face.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be us versus them. We're all human at the end of the day. Just because you're wearing that uniform doesn't make you somewhat superior to anybody.
People feel like that. People feel like they're superior. And I think the other thing is it feels like us versus them because the other side feels like it's us versus them. Like, I feel like it's us versus police. Like, I feel like that too. So I'm sure that's why police feel. I mean, I guess police are supposed to be the mature ones, but I feel like that. I feel like it's us versus them. Like, when I imagine a world without police, like, I don't know what it would look like, but I don't necessarily think it would be worse. I don't know what it would look like.
Yeah.
And I think for you see the underbelly of the world, and so you feel different.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. And like, you know,
we can disagree. Go ahead.
Like, I love you to death,
Yeah.
but I will tell you this: there are things, unimaginable things, that you need to understand that law enforcement does. Like, yes, we're reactionary most of the times, but the reaction is better than letting it be what it is.
But there's a part of me that feels like they're not there for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't feel like they're there for me.
Again, and I have to put it to you like this, and I hate that it has to sound like this, but it's bigger. It's bigger than that. In the grand scheme of things, there's a lot of things that are not there for you in this society that we live in, but
they don't make me feel unsafe. Police make me feel unsafe.
But who is behind the enforcement of what's making you feel unsafe? That's what you got to look at too. Law enforcement is, like, again, minuscule in comparison to certain people that hold that pen that can really influence your life. And again, I feel like where the public gets lost is that law enforcement, they're being controlled.
Say more.
Like, and it's like, that's why you see when certain buildings would get burned down. How come the U.S. Bank wasn't burned down? How come downtown wasn't burned to a crisp?
How come?
Like, you know why? Like, there's powers that be that basically says, hey, we support you guys. Put law enforcement over there right now and protect to this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or you're not going to get this type of funding. Or you're not going to do that. You're not going to do this. You're like, there was obviously, you can see where the structures were. You know, so that's kind of how I'm just saying, like, it's bigger than that. There's so many things at play. Like, it's bigger than you and me, and like, hey, you know, this cop did this to that person. We don't have as much power as people believe. And that's kind of what I'm trying to drive down, is that like, law enforcement in general, yes, we're out there, we're doing things that people see on a daily basis. We're highlighted in society. But at the end of the day, we're not the ones that are creating this society, like, and shaping it for what it is right now. You know, so I feel like
it sounds like you almost feel like a lot of the blame is getting placed on you for maybe decisions you guys aren't making. And this isn't about police brutality. This is about, like, law enforcement's job in general. What do you think about defund the police?
Defunding the police, like, okay, I believe that, I mean, structured correctly. I get the messaging behind it. I understand.
It's very poor marketing.
I understand. I know. I get the marketing behind it. You're supposed to, like, again, it's like our teachers used to say back in the day: grab the reader's attention, you know, and make sure that you hold it. And I feel like that's they're gonna poke at you so you can pay attention to them. That's why they say, okay, defund the police. Structured correctly. I know what they're trying to get across, that, you know, the
you guys wear too many hats. We're asking you to wear too many hats. Exactly. I agree with that, though. I do think I heard someone say this who's very far right, and I actually agree with it. They said, you know, people are saying less police is the answer, but I actually think more police is the answer, because then you could rotate police being in the field, like having less dangerous situations, less contact in difficult positions would probably make the police officers who are in the field less desensitized and more empathetic and less, basically, they didn't say this, but I'm saying this because I'm a therapist, less traumatized, so they make better choices in the field. But do you agree with that?
Yes, and we have to study how other countries are doing policing.
It's so hard.
We are so like
some countries take their guns. Would you guys go without guns?
There's no way. Like,
yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not even saying it like that. Listen, there's no way that you can tell an American police officer that you're gonna take their gun, because in our culture, how we've lived our lives for so long, guns are a part of our society, right? And I'm talking about looking at how other countries do law enforcement, because they're obviously doing things the right way. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much, like if you look at the data in the other countries, they blow us out of the water, you know, and that's kind of how I look at our society. I'm like, certain things that we do not even like have. Mm-hmm. Other countries see that as a human right.
Well, the reason why I said no guns is because I feel like a lot of other countries, there aren't guns. The police don't have guns, and I'm not saying that's why the police are successful.
They have guns. They have guns. It's just certain units have guns.
Certain units, but like the people walking down the street don't have guns. Often. Like when I go to European, I'm speaking about European countries. When I go to European countries, I see that, right? It reminds me of how people like compare healthcare to these European countries. And then you have to remember, like, hold on, they're like a fifth of our population and a monolith, and like half the people there don't have guns and like this, right? So like I hear what you're saying, and I do believe there's never going to be a time where the US is going to go take all the guns from the civilians. So I get why the police officers want guns. It's like unequally matched, right?
Yeah.
But I think like I don't know how to shift, and I don't even know if it's deserved, but like I would love to not be afraid of police officers.
Man.
And I am.
And
I would love to not be afraid. And it's so unfortunate because every time I show my fear, they get angry. Like police officers get mad when I show them I'm afraid.
Because they look at it as a disrespectful way of viewing them, and they take it to heart and stuff like that.
It's not personal. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's funny because I would, in my early years of being a cop, right, that taught me like to shut up in some areas. I was getting they call it a field training officer program. I was in the FTO program, being the recruit, and there was this officer that just got on, he passed his FTO and whatnot, and he was having a very outward dispute with this guy, and they were going back and forth about it, and he was yelling at him. I'm like, hey man, you don't know how that guy grew up. You don't know what society has done to him. His views are his views. He's like, he looked at me with like such disdain. He wanted to hurt me. Like, why would I ever tell him that?
Us versus them?
And it's like, and again, like you saying that, there's been times where I'm in my squad car. I see somebody light up behind me. Like I'm talking about like another cop turn on their reds and blues, and I have anxiety. I almost have a panic attack because I'm like, oh, you pulling me over? But I'm in full uniform. I'm in a squad car myself. But again, it's like, different ways that people grew up, different dynamics, like obviously like societal, but
totally. And I back to like our friendship, and just to like end on this, I think I have a lot of feelings about whether or not, police officers are helpful, but I don't have feelings towards you for being a police officer. And I think one of the things that really humbled me was being a mandated reporter. Like I, as a social worker, am a part of this system that not only partners with police, but causes harm independently. Like social work has a really bad history of causing harm. Like there are laws, if you look up ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, that they literally had to put in place because social workers are taking so many indigenous kids out of homes and putting them in with white families. Like social work has been an issue, and I'm in social work being like, I'm gonna change it. And it has felt hopeless at times. It feels like I can't make systemic change, and I feel like very similar to you, like, all right, I got all these resources from what I'm doing. I'm going to take them to private businesses where I can like show up for people and like do the right thing. I'm going to have a podcast where I talk about therapy. I'm going to start my own practice eventually where I can do therapy the way I want to do it. But it's part of growing up, unfortunately, and people are going to disagree with me who are revolutionaries and radicals, and that's great. We need you too. But I'm starting to realize, like, part of growing up and being realistic is working within the system that you're in and trying to do the best you can. And it's defeating.
Very defeating. Absolutely. Yeah, I can't even imagine like that thought process as a social worker. I can see it from the law enforcement perspective, but I can't even imagine. Like,
well, it's really hard for me as a social worker to like know a kid's being abused and I have to send them home.
Man.
I have to. Like if their parent comes and gets them and Child Protective Services says like, we're going to do in-home therapy now, and the kid took it back and said their stepdad's not molesting them, and I have to sit down that kid and tell them they're going home. Like it's horrible. It is a horrible feeling. Or to tell the kid, like, I had one kid, this was a long time ago, not at my current job, but they came in because they had a psychotic break. And when they came in, we realized that they didn't have the proper paperwork, guardianship paperwork for the grandparents they were living in. So they came in, they had a stable home, they had people who loved them, and they left in foster care. Like, those are the days where I'm like, well, I'm just causing harm too. Like, there is, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, can the good even outweigh the bad? I don't know.
No.
But you got to try.
No. You're a modern day superhero as well. You can't take yourself too lightly. No, I mean, talking about superhero, man, I gotta give this personal shout out.
Yeah, go ahead.
To you, because I don't feel like we touch on it too much.
On what?
Like, man, and this is really heavy for me, but no, like I really gotta thank you for like being there when we had that situation at the cabin, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I would have been, you know, if you weren't there.
Same. I feel like our friendship changed that day.
Yeah, no, you saved my life.
No.
You did. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you did. And I don't know where. I think about all the different like possibilities, and like, no, you were there. You were the person that I actually noticed, and like, I called out to you, and you were there, and you saved my life, and I thank you for that.
I love you.
I love you too.
I love you, and I love your kid.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No.
I love her more than you. How'd that happen? I've only known her for 2 years. I choose her over you any day. God forbid.
And do that, please.
Yes.
Because like, if I'm ever gone, she'll need people.
Oh,
you know, and like,
yeah.
and
she needs someone to help her navigate being biracial. I got her.
No, but
no, I love you. I care about you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I value every year we're friends. I value it more. Like, we're doing this life shit together. It's really crazy, actually.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll sign out for today. Thank you. We'll be back in a week. Bye.
Where are you? It's the end of the weekend, but I still wanna turn up. Yeah, I still wanna turn up. All I want is to go again, but you ain't picking your phone up. Why you messing my head?